Do you guys want to talk about my first impressions in the game? We have been playing the game for 9 hours and 40 minutes. Visually speaking, I think the game is very pretty. And visually speaking, it reminds me a lot of Bloodlines 1. There's a lot of references to things that happen in Bloodlines 1. I personally have been enjoying the main quests. I find them to be intriguing. The conflict has been cool, and so on. It has been fun. It has been it has my interest, the main quest. The side quests, well, those were definitely more side than quests. Basically, we did 3 side quests, and they were go there, kill that guy, go there, deliver that, and there is literally nothing else to that. Just to deliver, just the murder, and that's it. The main quest, I can talk when it comes to choices. We definitely had choices, different choices, that felt like they would do something in the future, but I feel like only time will tell if there will be differences and what happens, and as you guys also play, and we can discuss the things that went different on your playthrough and mine. So I feel like choices is something that I would need to wait to do a full review. If you're expecting this game to be like Bloodlines 1 because of the RPG aspect, I don't think that's a good expectation to have, because I think you're gonna be hurt. But for what the game is, I have been enjoying it. I miss being able to, for example, in the Bloodline ones, I really enjoyed throwing objects around and building things so I could try to climbing vents and have no purpose. The game doesn't have any items for you to pick up, really. You can throw items at people, so you can indirectly use weapons by when enemies drop them. You can throw them at enemies, and they can do quite a lot of damage. And you can even use guns like that. Like, you can shoot people if you hold a gun, and then you can also throw the gun itself at them. But you can't actually use a weapon. I'm not sure how I feel about this, because part of me kind of understands how it would make sense, because I feel like, especially since being such a powerful vampire, it would make sense that we can take things very close and personal. But at the same time, I feel like it would be cool to be used weapons. So I'm still torn about that. You can shoot people, but only when you find an environmental gun, and then you can use that against the enemies. Same with the bat and the pipe and the other weapons that were in the first game. They're actually in this game, but you can't actually wield them. You can only use telekinesis, grab them with telekinesis, and then throw them at the enemy. Look at this. This looks beautiful, right? I would say that the exploration has been a little bit heartbreaking, because I look at the city and I find it so pretty. And I find it so interesting. Right now we're in Chinatown. And I would love that if we could go inside these buildings, I love that we could even buy random objects and bring them to our home, decorate our apartment. Again, but I feel like it's part of my brain just wanting this game to be more RPG than it actually is. Yes, in the first game, exploration also felt somewhat limited when it comes to, because you could only go to certain places after you unlock them in the main story. So it could be that it becomes more interesting as we open up as we do the main story. Maybe we'll be able to go to more of these stores. But as of right now, there's very few places that we can actually go and interact with. From what I have seen from the dialogue, I personally have been liking it. I somehow expected the game to be tamer than this, but the second NPC that we ever talked with, she called me, sorry, I don't need a prostitute. and I thought it was funny. So there's a lot of of the flirtiness and a lot of the seduction, I would say, that the first game had. So you can literally seduce people in the street and lure them to a dark alley to suck their blood. So the dialogue is definitely, it's a lot less clean than I expected. But at the same time, I feel like in the first game, the dialogue sometimes would be shocking. For example, when you hear and when you learn about the background of Jeanette and Teresa. And so far, The dialogue has been fun, it has been interesting, but I don't know where it will lead to and what it will lead to. I would say that the NPCs so far have been pretty hot. I would definitely want to smash and fuck a lot of them. Yeah? Yeah. I'm playing the game on hard mode because honestly the combat doesn't really bother me. I feel like if I wasn't playing it on hard, the combat wouldn't have like much to it, in the sense that since I'm playing on hard, there will be some fights that, at least as of right now in the game, I can be easily overwhelmed by enemies. So it kind of like requires me to think of a way to attract the enemies and stealth kill them. So that makes things interesting. I personally do not know how that would be in normal. I feel like in normal, you probably can just go and punch them. It definitely feels good to punch them, and I kind of like the gore. Like, I like how we can literally grab an enemy, kick them in the balls, and then cut their heads off. It's just somewhat satisfying. I'm really sad that Malkavian is not in the game. We do have a Malkavian NPC in our head, but it's I know that I understand that there are different types of Malkavian, but I do hope that we find a Malkavian that was kind of like a little bit in the vibes of the first game, because I love those crazy guys, you know? I felt seen. In a way, this game feels like talking about a friend who played the first Bloodlines, but your friend is not the first Bloodlines. Does that make sense? Don't get me wrong, I still like the game, and I think it's a good game, but yeah, it's missing the RPG elements of the first game. But I feel like they have been straightforward, that they were going for a different approach. In general, I'm having a lot of fun. So far, it has been fun to make my choices. I don't know how will be the consequences of these choices, but I'm having a lot of fun with the game. I feel like people would have really appreciated this game if the name would have been different. If they didn't tag this game with Bloodlines, I feel like a lot of people would be seeing this game with a different eyes. But I find that adding the Bloodlines tag to it, it comes with some expectations, and with the RPG elements expectations that this game is missing, and I feel like a lot of the critic that this game is receiving is because of that. So I feel like if they had simply named this game different, maybe people would have been receiving it with better eyes, because overall has been a very fun game. I have been enjoying it. I love the vibes of the game though. I love how it still feels like I don't know, Bloodlines 1 had this, I don't know how to explain this better than saying the vibes of the game kind of like felt sexy. This game has some of that. It's a cool vibe. It's cool that they could replicate that vibe. So I do appreciate that. But it doesn't have Jeanette, at least not yet. I'll be honest with you guys, when it comes to making RPGs, especially RPGs with depth, and the reason why RPGs are so hard for people to make them is that RPGs cost a lot of money. And a lot of times when people are trying to make a game and they're trying to cut costs, they are going to cut things that are like RPG elements that players might not see. So you end up with shallower choices. I feel like the heart of the people who made this game, they were in the right place. It could be that it was lacking the funding to make this a deeper RPG. But so far it has been a fine action RPG, action game. I kind of wish that they had the means to had made this a little bit more RPG like Bloodlines 1 was. Because I love how beautiful the city is. I wish I could go into those stores. I wish there would be like lots of reasons to. I hope that as we progress the story and see more things open up for us. I can't really comment on performance, mostly because my computer is really good and I haven't really had a lot of problems with performance. And bugs, there was one bug in the very beginning of the game that I tried to open a door and my character just became stuck and I had to load back to the checkpoint, but that's the only thing I really found. Aside from that, just like minor bugs of NPCs just looking funky in the ground and things like that, but nothing major, at least so far. If anything, I do believe that we need even more vampire stuff. We continue? We can talk with a sexy lady. Well, maybe two sexy ladies.